Hello, in this Unity tutorial, I'm going to go over how to get an animation in from Blender into Unity. Also, I got the 3D model in from Blender to Unity. And here, this little wiggly worm thing, this is an example of a simplest animation that we can get in. So here's the weepy guy, and here it has the armature. These are the bones, the model, the material, and it has the animation in it. So let's see what we started from here was we made an animation in Blender. This is Blender, and I'll play the animation here. That was done, and basically it's a cube with two bones and a IK um, handler here for the animation like this. All right, so let's start from scratch. The first thing I did was I made an animation in Blender, so let's go ahead and do that by starting a brand new Blender thing. Since I'm going to go to Unity, I don't need the camera and I don't need the light, so I'm going to delete those right away. So let's take the cube and we're going to stretch it on the Z, and then I'm just going to move it up so that it is based on the floor right there, kind of, right? Now, the cube needs more vertices, so let's go into edit mode and add loop cut like this. And then here, we're going to just increase the number of cuts. Bing, bing, bang, bang, bing, bang, bang. So it bends nicely and smooth. And let me do something else here. Let me turn on the keys. I swear to God, I don't know why this thing isn't on by default all the time. All right, that way you can see the keys that I'm pressing. All right, so I just added some loop cuts into this cube. Now, just gonna add some bones. So let me go back to object mode and let me just do transparency so we could see through it. And I'm gonna add some bones right here, a single bone. Boop, and it's right there at the bottom. Then edit mode on the bone and click the head right there and click move and just stretch this bone out to the size of this guy and click the body of the bone and right click and say subdivide so I can get more than one bone. So in the example there I had two bones, so I guess I'll just have my two bones, but if I wanted to keep on subdividing I just go like this. I'll do three bones in this example. Okay, so there's three bones. Now let's connect the bones to the mesh. So I go back to object mode, and here I select the mesh, and then I select the bones, and then I just right click and say parent with automatic weights. And notice over here that these two things are separate, but now when I go parent with automatic weights, boom, they become together. Now let's just make sure that the bones really did connect to the mesh. So what I'll do is I'll select the bones, and then I'll go to pose mode and I'll just see if it actually worked. I'll just rotate a bone over here and make sure the mesh goes with it. Yeah, it does. Control C. So now I could do the thing where if I want to, bend these bones easier, I could just add an IK bone. So let me pick this bone here. Let me pick this here, and then I'll just add on a little IK thing to control here, another bone. Then I'll select the bone and unparent it, clear the parent of this last bone. Okay, and then I'll select that. This is going to be my IK bone, and then this is the bone it connects to, and I will say in pose mode, I will press Shift I, and that will bring up the add IK to this bone. And you can't see it, but there's like a dash line that goes from here all the way to here. So if I have this bone here, this is the IK bone. Now, let me just show you what that does first. Now that this bone is the IK bone, it's going to control the bending of these other bones, all right? Without me having to bend each bone, and then Control Z. But it's going through all 3 bones. Now, if I wanted to only go through 2 bones or 1 bone, then I could say the chain length right now is 0, means it's everything. There's a dotted line that goes through all of them. Or I could say it only bends 1 bone or 2 bones, and there's like a little yellow dotted line over here so that this IK only affects these first 2 bones. I could control how many bones it affects. So let me now try it with 2 bones in the chain to affect for the IK, and you'll see that it only bends 2 bones. Okay, so let's say that this is set up now that I could animate it, Control Z. Now to do the animation here, I'm going to have to use this little animation bar thing at the bottom. Let me just open it up a little bigger and press record. So let me just jiggle it. I got like one little yellow dot here for the first frame, and then I'll just move it up to like 20 and then say that it's going to go here at 20, and then let's copy this frame here, this first one. How do I do that copying? Let's see, let's say that we copy, and I'm going to paste that over here at 40, paste. You know, because when you do an animation, it's good to have the start and the end frame be the same. So now I could scrub this back and forth to see my animation. Okay. Or I could press play, which right now I have way more frames here that are empty. So let's just set my animation to go from 0 to 40. So here it starts over here. Let's start from to 40 is the last frame. Enter. And then that way the animation just plays from here to here. And also, this isn't actually on 0, is it? So let me move it over to 0. Whoops, I just moved it over to minus. Ah, there we go, 0. So we'll start at 0 to 40. And now if I press play, the animation will just loop like that. Simple little animation. So I have my mesh. I use the IK to help me make the animation. Now let's save it. So I could import it into Blender. So I'll go to File, Export, FBX. And let's see, we want the armature. And let me hold down the Shift button. We want the mesh. And we are going to click this. And here, what about the armatures here? What do we have in here? This. Okay, let's leave that there. And what's this about animation? It says bake the animation. All right, so let's export that to my Blender folder. And I have this little folder here, sticky, and I'll call this Willow. Not Silo, Willow. I'll call this little thing Willow. And I'll just export the FBX to my Blender sticky folder. There we go. Now let's minimize Blender. And let's go back to Unity. And let's see what happens if we could bring in this Willow and see if we get the animation of it. Okay, so here's my little Blender folder. And let's see, where's my sticky? And here's Willow. So let me just drag and drop Willow over here. Ba-doop. And there we go. We got Willow there. Thank you. Now let's see. If I drag Willow into my scene, right there, and I press play, let's see if the animation plays. Not yet. It doesn't play yet. We have to do some more stuff. So Willow has the armature That's good. It has the bones in it and everything. Well, what we need is we need an animation controller in Unity. You know, you can't have an animation without an animation controller. So let's add a component of animation controller. Is this it? Animator. Yep. See, so here we could have a controller. So now we just have to make a controller for the animation. Create animation controller, and we'll call this Willow. Willow's animation controller. And now we'll double click on it. And here's my animator window. And in case you didn't have an animator window, and let me just close that so we can see how to bring that up. Like usually you'll have it like this. And if you didn't have the animator window, when you double click on this, it'll open up one. And it kind of just opened it up here, all big and everything. And then what I just did was I just dragged the window like that. Okay, so I could just see it. So this is Willow's animation controller, and I know that the model that I just got from Blender has an animation in it. So let me see if the animation could suck out, bam, and come into the controller. So here, when the game starts, it'll start playing the animation. So now let's just attach this animation controller to here, to Willow. So it uses that controller. And now when I press play, let's see what happens. Good, it plays the animation. And it played it one time. It's not looping, but that's okay. Because here I could click on the Willow model, and you know, there's these different things from the model, the rig, and the animation. And in the animation, if I scroll right here, I have a loop time, so I could loop the animation over and over, press apply. And now when I press play, let's see if it repeats over and over. Okay, so there we go. We have an animation that we made in Blender, and we brought it into Unity, one animation. Thanks.